Hi everybody, I'm Judith Uyterlinde, publisher at World Editions, and we're going to talk today with Rodaan Al-Galidi, author of the book Two Blankets, Three Sheets, that has just been released in English translation, translation done by Jonathan Reeder. The discussion today will be with the both of them about writing and translating this wonderful book. And I'll shortly introduce both author and translator to you. Rodaan is a poet and writer born in Iraq, trained as a civil engineer. He lived in the Netherlands since 1998. And he, as an undocumented asylum seeker, he didn't have the right to follow Dutch language classes. So he taught himself to read and write Dutch. And he won for one of his novels, The Authors and the Carrier Pigeon, the European Prize for Literature in 2011, which was the same year that he failed his Dutch citizenship course. Quite ironical. Two Blankets, Three Sheets is a bestseller in the Netherlands and has just been released in the UK and US by World Editions. And the translator, Jonathan Reeder, who did a wonderful job translating this book, is a native of New York and longtime resident of Amsterdam. And alongside his work as a professional bassoonist, he also translates opera libretti and essays on classical music, as well as lots of contemporary Dutch authors like Peter Buwalda, Bram de Hauk, Christine Otte, and Adrie van der Heijden. And now this book, Two Blankets, Three Sheets by Rodaan Al-Galidi, which I'm going to show to you. It looks like this. And welcome, Rodaan. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And yeah, I'd like to start asking Rodaan how you got the idea to write this book.
This is a book about the life in the refugees camp, you know, the people in Holland. The refugees camp is about 3 or 4 kilometers from them, but they don't have idea about the life there. They think that people living there one day or 1 week, and they thinking that kind of hotel or hostel. They didn't have idea that there is a world there. People living years and they build in them life. They make children sometimes, or they get crazy, or they get alcoholic, or they made relationships or married, or it is a war there in that buildings, because sometimes the people waiting 16 or 17 years there. Is a country inside the country. It's the smallest country in the world, this refugees camp in Holland.
And Jonathan, what was it like to translate this book by Rodaan? How would you characterize it?
Well, just as a translation project, it was a lot of fun because it's very conversationally written. He writes it as he's telling a story. So I actually dictated most of it into the computer rather than typing it. It was an easy, that was easier and actually more genuine than typing. So I was just telling his story with an English voice. That was the technical part of it. The emotional part of it was a lot different, you know, because I'm reading a story. I'm a sort of an immigrant myself to the Netherlands, but I came in through a very different door than Rodaan did. And as I read it as with a lot of shame for the way the system worked, very much in my favor and very much not in his favor, and we're just two people from exactly the same kind of. We're just two men of the same age and from the same kind of background, and one had the luck to have the system work for him, and the other didn't, and that's hard to read. It's hard to read for a Dutch person to see how their system works, and it's hard for a person who's had the easy way. I was allowed to take Dutch lessons, and I was allowed to get a job and to work here. So it's pretty embarrassing, actually, but I thought it was that much more important to tell his story to the English-speaking world for that reason.
And maybe would you like to read a bit, Jonathan, to get an impression of Rodaan's style and also of the humor with which the book has been written? Because I think that's what makes it quite unique. It's a story about an asylum seeker, but at the same time, it's heartbreaking, but it also makes you laugh out loud. It's really very funny. But maybe you can read a bit to let me hear his voice.
That's what you say. That's what's unique about this. What's really unique about this book is that, and about Rodaan's personality and story, is that he sees the absurdity of the situation in a funny way, but also in a tragic way, and you can read it in both ways, and both emotions and both messages are in this book. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it come closer to people who read it, because it's not just a horror story and it's not a comedy, obviously, but it's a little bit of both. So I'm going to read a passage that tells a little bit about what it was like to live in the asylum seeker center, and what it was like to deal with a Dutch civil servant who could have just as well been an American or a British or a Spanish civil servant. It's just the way the system works. And it shows a little bit how the civil servant he follows the rules, but he's also a human being, and it shifts back and forth fluidly. So as an asylum seeker, you're not quite sure where you stand. So here goes. I shared a room with 4 other men. The room was small, and all 5 of us went to sleep at different times and woke up at different times. However, that was just a minor problem. Worse was that 2 of the others, one fat, the other extremely skinny, snored. The fat one snored softly, let's say dolce, in the later hours of the evening. The skinny one snored loudly and constantly. If he lay on his stomach, the volume was tolerable, but if he rolled onto his back, it became amplified to forte. It was forbidden to sleep in the hallway and impossible to sleep in the room. The only solution was not to sleep at all, which was bothersome. After a few sleepless nights, I discovered a space behind the washing machines in the laundry room, and I figured my sleep problem was resolved for the time being. But the person on night duty found out, and the next day, Sieb, one of the social workers, summoned me to his office. When we got there, he saw there were new arrivals and told me to wait in the hall until he called for me and went into the office. So I waited and waited. Sieb seemed to me to be a polite, pleasant man, but even so, I didn't dare go in and ask whether I should continue waiting or if I could go. By now, I had caught on that an asylum seeker was better off not clashing with a civil servant during his work, because either they panicked, which was bad, or got angry, which was worse. Sieb left his office with a walkie-talkie, and even then I didn't dare leave, afraid that Sieb wouldn't find me when he got back. I waited there for more than 2.5 hours. When he returned and saw me standing there, he walked over to me and slapped his forehead. "Oh, sorry, Samir, I'd forgotten you, man. You've been waiting here forever." He ushered me into the office. "What was it about again?" "I don't know," I said. "Go on then, I'll let you know if I remember." He clapped me on the shoulder and apologized once more. I was surprised that Sieb felt there was something wrong with waiting in a hall for 2.5 hours, and didn't understand why he felt bad about it. But this way, I discovered that a 2.5 hour wait in a hall is too long for Dutch people. And this was not a good thing for me to know, considering I would spend the next 9 years waiting.
Thank you, Jonathan. Rodaan,
and Rodaan, tell us what happened after that. Sieb did remember what the problem was, right?
No, I think the people must read the book. I want to say something. it's really, my English is not so good, but when I read the English version of the book, I feel the book is fluent because I think in Arabic and I write in Dutch, but Jonathan read Dutch and he write in his mother language.
Yeah.
And the book is very nice. He traveling from mother thought to the strange language Dutch, and then from this strange language to the another mother tongue. And it's I like the English version very much because it's I grew up with American films, American songs, and what I like in Jonathan, he never disturbing me, calling me what you think about that or no. He's feeling, he's writing his book. It's great. I will take him with me to the Nobel Prize to Sweden.
Thank you.
So,
Yep.
So you haven't been in touch about the translation at all?
No, I said to you first, this is your book. Don't disturb me with it. This is not a Bible or a Quran to be exactly what means Mr. Al-Galidi. Let Mr. Al-Galidi to the hill. Make in English short story and nice. And you did it very well.
Yeah.
And the people, they said to me now from Norway or from Canada, oh, the book is short and very nice. I said, yeah, the original is also like that.
But I have to say that, Rodaan, you're my dream author anyway, because you said, like what you said, it's not the Bible, it's yours. You're the writer, you do what you want. It's the best thing a translator can hear. That I have your trust, that's it.
Yeah, because can I say something little bit about translating? Can I say?
Yes, please.
I am grow up with the translating books from Russian, from English, German to Arabic. Every time when in the newspapers or in the magazine they said this is the baddest translating is the most touching. I love that. And I asked one person, why is this bad translate? They said because the translator, he was free to translate it in his way. And now I am believing when the translator have the possibility not to translate the book, but to write it is the best way. And translating is not exist, but repeat writing the book again. And this is what Jonathan, he did it, and it's great. This is his book.
Yeah. I retold the story. That's the nice thing.
Yeah, that is great.
And Rodaan, you wrote it in Dutch, whereas Dutch wasn't your mother language. What was it like for you to write a book in a different language than your mother language?
You know, Messi is very good footballer, but he can swim, I am sure, but he cannot swim in water, same with football. I am a good footballer in Arabic, but I am now playing volleyball. I am same Messi in Arabic, but in Dutch, yes, I am same the volley. I doing something not to bring my maximum what I can, but the more beautiful what I can. If you meet somebody in the hostel and in the touristic way, you show him the more beautiful side of you. Because your language is not enough and the time is not enough. That's what I'm doing in Dutch. Everybody says, oh, you write very funny and very nice. They didn't know. If I write in Arabic, I am very sad and dark.
Well, then, in that case, I'm happy that you wrote this book in Dutch.
Yes, and also I am happy that because in the Arabic language, this you're not allowed to write about. This is for God. This the word is a holy word. You must not make funny about. In Dutch, they don't care. You do what you want. If we don't like it, we don't read it, but we don't kill it.
Well, I think most people did like it because it was really a big success in the Netherlands. And
I'm happy.
I hope it will also reach lots of...
Let me say, Arabic language is my mother and Dutch language is my sweet lady who I love.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Well, I think that's a beautiful way to end this conversation, Rodaan and Jonathan. And I hope your book will reach as many readers in the UK and US as it has done in the Netherlands. And I'm sure again, it's called Two Blankets, Three Sheets. Or maybe it's nice to quickly explain why we chose this title, because it's...
Jonathan, he can't say... say.
Yeah. You remember the list of things that you were given at the Asylum Seeker Center when you checked in, Rodaan.
Yeah.
And it becomes a sort of a shtick that goes through the whole book. It's 2 blankets, 3 sheets, a towel, 2 pillows, and 2 pillowcases.
Hey, a towel, a pillow, and a pillowcase.
A towel and a pillowcase. And oh yeah, you've got it in the front in complete version, and he uses that as a theme that goes through the whole book. And every time you check into a new either a reception center or asylum seeker center, you're given this exact same number of bed linens, and you're expected to turn it back in at the end. And there's all sorts of little things that happen along the way with your sheets and your towels and your pillowcases, but it's something we keep reading about throughout the book. That's where we got the title.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Jonathan Reeder, translator of the book written by Rodaan Al-Galidi, 2 Blankets, 3 Sheets. Thank you, everybody, for joining this online conversation. And I hope you'll be inspired to read this book too. It's really worth doing. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.